liquidated. So hopefully you guys were not doing any of that, but let's see. All right, well, I guess the sell-off on on Friday, well, everybody's gonna say, "Oh yeah, I could have seen it, right?" I gave you guys warning signs when we did the watch list, right? I gave you guys the daily cloud was closed, there was stuff coming in, and I said, don't be really heavy long going into that Friday and then tomorrow as well. Right? Tomorrow we'll find out if they're pretty serious about the sell-off or not. They did what they're supposed to do, right? They sold off, they caught a lot of people, excuse me, sleeping, right? And everybody, who was just betting on the long side, then I mentioned something when it's very easy to make money on the long side or short side, be very careful, right? This was just one day, right? On Friday that erased, I would say almost I would say 20 or 30 days worth of price action gone in one day. And all of a sudden now people are immediately like, oh yeah, we're bullish, right? Just because, we're gapping up and Trump tweeted news and this and that. You have to look at the chart in front of you, right? I did not anticipate Trump to talk about news or China or any of it, right? But I was just telling you the daily cloud was closed. There was a very, very high chance of sell-off. And before the sell-off happened, we ended up to get some SPY puts that went, I think, 2,000%. And the October 13th were about 1,000% as well. So it paid off nicely, right? But that doesn't mean that you go in here and, I just took a short before the call. I took a minor loss, 4 points. And that's it. I'm not mad about it. I just want to see if they're going to respect the 50% of that candle, right? Of the high and lows. And that didn't work. Don't be married to the positions, especially, the VIX was very low. And all of a sudden, the volatility is back, right? And as day traders, you care about volatility because it makes your life easier. So welcome this. Don't regret it. I missed this or missed that. You didn't really miss anything, right? Tomorrow you can have another tweet that's, something totally worse than what was Friday or any other news that come in, but don't take it as a miss or whatever you guys might, right? Think that way. When you think about just the price action, right? When you think about trading, like naked trading, what happened here that's fairly important on a daily cloud? Is there anything that caught your guys' attention here when you guys were charting? I'm just marking this while you guys think about it. This is just September value area low. Is there anything that changed? Is there anything that changed in the structure of the market?
Volume matches the candle.
It's beautiful, yeah. I 100% agree. There was a match, pretty big sell-off, and I mean that doesn't. When you think about volumes, it's equivalent to sometimes when we were here, right? The selling volume is equivalent to buying volume when we were at the lows. So I wouldn't necessarily ignore that. But when you think about price action, what's been happening since those, I would say, April lows, is if you take a look at this, right? We go here, we go, and then these minors, right? And then higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, then some consolidation. And now, boom. What changed here?
A lower low.
Change
Yeah.
of structure.
It's a change of character, not a structure,
Yeah,
right?
sorry.
Yeah. So here, what he means by this level here is they call it this, right? Change of character. Does everybody understand what this means? I just oh, man, we're gonna have to get you a mic. So what that means, the market was making higher highs and higher lows, right? And as you guys know, this equals bullish trend. Lower high plus lower low equals bearish trend. Lower high plus higher low. What is this? Okay. So now, if you think about it, if this was our lower low, right, this is a pretty important level in terms of the structure of the market right now, right? And then this level here, right, kind of September value area low, is also, when you think about the structure, right, there's a lot of volume here, guys. There's a ton of volume that was spent here. So I would almost treat this as a balance. If you guys remember, we had these like kind of like squarish balances before. And then you had this one here, if you guys remember. And then you have an imbalance in between, and then you have this one at the top as well. Right, so this is one. So now let's say if they can't hold this, we can anticipate them to go about 6,200 or even 6,100. That's not necessarily a terrible move, guys. While a lot of bulls got liquidated, right, that were over leveraged, that's only 5%. That's not a lot, right? Since COVID, not COVID lows, I'm sorry, since the April lows, we've been running about, 42%. And nobody's talking about this being ludicrous, but when you get a nice candle sell-off, it is, right? So look at it, both ways openly. This is not bad. This is actually a healthy pullback. As long as they come back here and they're able to defend it, this is still long picture. Is it a nice pullback in terms of points? Yeah. This would be still structurally good for the bulls if they can come here and hold this level. Because here, obviously, there's not a lot of volume that picked up. If you guys go on the weekly here, there's really not that much volume here, guys. Since this one, the volume just died off, right? And even this last candle here, nothing crazy. And from, weekly standpoint level, did something change here? Well, we put in a lower low. You have a giant, I would say, bearish engulfing candle that takes out 3 weeks worth of effort by the bulls. And today you have a bullish harami being built because of the gap up, right? So structurally on the daily, they changed quite a bit, right, on a daily standpoint. But from the weekly, right, they have to lose the September value area low, and that's where we're kind of going to start right now. So if you guys look at the monthly profiles, I'm just going to remove these boxes so you guys don't get thrown off. Here's your September, right? We talked about briefly about, October, how we started with very tight value area, right? If you guys recall, there was a level on SPY that I mentioned to you guys a few times. Do you guys remember what that level was? When I said it, well, we covered it in one watch list. Do you guys remember what that was?
7. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, it was SPY when we were
Oh.
talking about this. We talked about SPY and we said, man, you lose the 667 and you're gonna have a room. And remember, we are targeting somewhere around the 650, 320. If you lose this level, we said you can target this and it can be pretty nasty if you lose this. Well, I didn't think it was gonna be this nasty. I didn't anticipate it to be a single candle in the whole monthly value area exploration in one candle, but this was, this was normal, somewhat normal. I would say in terms of sell-offs, add the, Twitter news, and then you have this, right? But we bounced basically where we had to, right? When you look at this, they bounced exactly where the bulls had to. And if you guys recall, we had this zone drawn here, right? And we said this was a pretty important zone for the bulls to hold. You guys recall this? Where was a value area high and a low, and we said, man, if you crack this, then you start getting into trouble because there's not a lot of time, spent in volume. So then what you can do is you can go from here, and then let's say you go to the top here, and you can find really where you stand, right? So right below this, whatever this 6406, this is your run-up POC. If they fail here, what's most likely to happen? Careful with the track questions.
It's gonna test the next box you have down.
Good job, yeah. So it's gonna most likely go to here at 6160, and then ultimately, which matches somewhere around here, I would anticipate them to go here at the bottom of this zone. So I would target something like this, right? Does that make sense? So don't be, don't be alarmed if we get a decent bounce here and then there's more bad news and then we ultimately come to the 6406 level. I wouldn't be really, really shocked if that was to happen here. Make sure you guys mark up your monthly VPOCs. This one is pretty important. I'll keep this one on 6015. Besides that one, I don't have any monthly VPOCs. Maybe this one got tapped perfectly. But this is your monthly views. Right now, you're still within the balance. As bad as it might seem, the sell-off, which was what, a couple of percentage points. 4%, not that bad. They sold off, they bounced where they had to, and now I would say most likely they're going to target to go, somewhere around here on this POC. I would watch the 703 level as they come up here. Right? This is going to be a pretty big level for them. If they can go over this, then probably very high chance they're going to go to the balance low as 6740. And the balance low is basically this up top where they sold off with this massive daily candle. But so far, you're just in balance in 2 months. We're not framing down yet on the monthly, even though there's potentially a chance considering we're half of the month and one candle took out all of September. So monthly is still in balance. I would carry forward this level here. Let's see this one right here, and that would be your and that would probably be a decent spot to attempt a short if they offer this tonight, and I think they could. And that would be a significant retrace, right? If you guys think about the lows to here, that's more than half, right? Retrace there. So I'll definitely watch this. In terms of fibs, if you don't know, mark that, high to lows here and just set up your retracements and kind of see where this falls, right? So this one is falling, the 61.8 is falling right in that zone as this level that we had. So this zone I would watch 706, 708, watch this and see how it behaves. The 50% is basically just the 50% of this candle here from the highs to the bottom of this candle. So let's see how they behave and if they respect the discount zone or not. Okay. Then you go into the weeklies, right? And you want to see what's kind of happening there. I'm pretty sure we broke the 3 weeks on that single one. So here's your, I would say 1, 2, 3, 4. The whole thing got erased. You came back to this level here. The prior value area high, tried to defend it, failed, and then hit that kind of weekly VPOC to a penny here. And you guys probably hear me say it a lot. These levels are to be carried right over. So weekly VPOC, and then you want to take a look, is there more? There's definitely one more below. I'll definitely mark this one here. Right. And somebody asked me, a new member, hey, can you add SPY levels? Yeah. So here are the SPY levels. If you think about it, I have SPY levels based on my chart, right? So you can enable it based off the ES chart here, or you could definitely chart SPY, and I can definitely bring it up. But I trade SPY off of ES. I trade pretty much a lot of stuff off of ES that's related to S&P 500. So right now on the weekly, are we framing down or up? Come on.
It
We're
looks
You
framing.
said we were in
Yeah.
a balance, no?
Well, you always compare it to a prior week, and the prior week low before this week was somewhere around here, right? This is this week's low. So that was the low, and you closed below. I mean, you closed below 3-week low. On the weekly, you're framing down. On the monthly, you're not. Daily, you're definitely framing down, right? So you're not in balance here. You're exploring below the balance. Below the in balance would have been in here, right? And we're not doing that. Just the level that you guys should be kind of cautious here is this little box. Does everybody understand why?
It looks like the
This-
accumulation before they went higher.
Yeah, so this is where we accumulated, and that's where we sold off from, right? Typically, you can definitely have the POC in this area and identify it, right? So about 6767. I don't think it'll be needed anytime soon. Well, let's see. Maybe I'm proven wrong. I would expect this level to be tested fairly soon, the bottom of this value, because this value was also our breakout level, right? Between the prior 4-week balance, 1, 2, 3, 4. So typically they like to break in and kind of come back to this level here. And I would target this. I think this could be the final downside target, depending on what they do with China and the raw materials that we talked about before all this shit happened. I'm pretty sure they're gonna work something out because the Chinese economy is also gonna hit a little bit of a turbulence if we are to increase it, right? You can be the biggest manufacturer of stuff, but if you don't have the demand, when you have so much supply but not enough demand, what happens?
They gotta lower their prices.
Well, you gotta lower the
Prices.
prices, but if still there's no demand, what do you have to do then? Do you keep producing at the same quantity?
No, definitely not. Everything slows down.
Everything slows down. You have to lay people off. The economy tries to starts to tumble a little bit, right? And then in the meantime, I'm not saying America would not hurt. Americans' prices would go up, and we would pay for it. But this is a war. Typically, if you guys ever, there's a name of the show I forgot, where the guy's like a billion-dollar buyer or something, and he comes in and squeezes all these little guys with massive orders, and basically just pinches them on margins. And that's kind of like what Walmart does, right? Walmart is really notorious for like, hey, I'll just buy a lot more, but you have to give it to me on pennies, right? Well, if China wants to play that game, right, it's about who can survive the longest. Americans can kind of change what they build, but is there many other buyers that can buy as much as Americans buy right now from China? That's the question, right? And
Probably
I don't
not.
know. Probably not, but I'm not that knowledgeable and researched enough to say that with certainty. But I think both sides were hurt, Chinese and US, and eventually just the global economy would be in shock as well. But I think all of this is just politics a little bit, right? But ultimately, watch for this to be tapped here. If they give us this for the Q4, we're looking to see if we can catch some calls on this side here, right? And if they lose this, then you have really this level here, which is the run-up POC. And if you guys remember, like, man, what was that level way back? Wasn't like this level? No, it was even before that. I have to check back a little bit more. It was it this? Yeah, I think it was this one here, but it's for some reason I don't. No, it wasn't this. I forgot. I forgot honestly which one. No, it was this one here. I'm sorry. If you guys remember, it was the identical thing that we had somewhere around here when we said this is a go ahead level to go long, and they came back and hit it perfectly. Some of you guys were here, and ever since they've been running. So now, if they would like to do the same thing, maybe they try that from this run up POC. If not, then this massive value here. So if you go back from these lows where we bounced, let's say from here to here, this is going to be a massive POC here at 60.58. I doubt that we would go below this in Q4 of 2025. And this would present itself as a really decent opportunity to go, long on some stuff. So I would definitely watch this level here, 60.58. I don't even mind changing this. So I would mark this as the level to go along. If I was to get this opportunity, I would definitely consider it and go along there. So hopefully that makes sense on that level. Week to week, like I said, 4-week kind of explored all in a day. You went to the VPOC, you bounced, and now you're somewhere around here after hours, right? Daily, I mean, if you look at the dailies, this is going to be pretty nasty on a single day right? So you have this giant candle. Basically, I think this was a pioneer range set, and then it basically just flushed. And then from the single prints, you're going to have a lot of poor structures here to take a look at. So let's look at some here now. It's going to be a lot of single prints. We'll hide the candles and increase this a little bit. Maybe you have to go 6 because the volatility increases. You have to increase the tick size as well. So our halfback is sitting somewhere around the area that we're looking, opportunity to short. And remember, when you're in the lowercase b, what's important?
The
Yeah.
50%.
That they don't reclaim the
Point.
B
where you
part.
are, where you are in the trend.
Well, some of the points are true, but if you want to invalidate the 50%, you want to break out of the value area. Remember how we talked about that we want to see a shift in value when we wanted it short, right? And we talked about this being really, really important that they shifted the value here. You guys recall that? Like we didn't want to short till
Yeah.
we saw a shift in value. And then they did some kangaroo shit where they shifted this value where we had single prints here. Right. And then once they cracked this low here, I mean, there was no stopping. There was really no interest of holding the price. So now on this lowercase b, the value is pretty wide, right? There's value, and I believe there was a spike somewhere around as well. But this is the area that you want to kind of watch, and you want to see how do they behave around it. And you just want to mark these as single prints here. And this would be a perfect short if they give it to us tomorrow, RTH. I want this to be given. And if they give this to us, this is a take. Right. And then this goes all the way up. You'll have some doubles, but this goes up all the way till 6783. The only way the bulls, in terms of single prints regain, I would say momentum to go all-time highs is what?
To get back like in that top distribution.
Yeah, so I think if they do this level here, they reclaim the 6741, which was our balance. So this, I would say 6-7 days. They reclaim this. We can go 6782. There was a little bit of a trap here on this, right, where they had that flat top. If you guys remember, it kept failing right here, and they went above, found some access. They tried to build it here and then flush, right? So if they reclaim this 42, very high chances we're going to see a new all-time high. That's how I would treat this, right? So that 42 is a fairly large level, right? And then ultimately, you clean this up, you're going to go here really, really quick. But for right now, I'm looking for if there's a short opportunity that comes up here. I'll be surprised if they easily reclaim this 50% tonight, right? I got stopped earlier, but to me, just it would be shocked. Let me see where they are right now. They're still dancing kind of right above it, but they're having a little bit of trouble here, right? So I'll be shocked if they just reclaim it that easy. If they give me this overnight, I will leave an order at 705 and I'm put a stop loss about 720. And that's just to target the bottom somewhere about the spike base. I believe it was, let's see, where is the spike? It was, I had a different level in my head. Does everybody know what this means? If you don't, we'll do classes a little bit and bring you up to speed. And I would mark this here. This is your cash settle right here. Why is this important?
For net inventory long or short.
It'll be important to see what they do to the inventory, right? Obviously, right now, if you look at the inventory, what is inventory doing? I mean, inventory is super long, 75 points away from the settle price, right? So at some point, they're gonna have to give you a rebalance. And if they give us a rebalance this, what would you guys do here?
Along.
Might not be a
Long.
bad long, honestly. It might not be a bad long, but we'll have to watch the order flow and confirm it. But tomorrow, the Bears, if they fumble this, let's say they fumble this level here, this area, they're really just a bunch of idiots then, because they have a decent opportunity to bring it down. Otherwise, if they lose this level and they regain a very high chance, guys, it's just gonna go to new all-time highs, and then they will even have more momentum, right? Potentially to even go something insane like this. Let's see, do extensions. We're talking about 69.82 by the year end. If they lose this level here or bulls regain it, 69.82 happens quickly. Just like I gave you heads up that this was framed, Rocket brought it up on a daily cloud. I brought it up to you guys that it was a perfect setup, right? And I was loaded on spy puts, guys. I had, I think, a total 175 spy puts between Monday and Friday. So when I explained to you guys why, whenever daily cloud is closed and you're coming up to that level, I will be short. And those opportunities don't come very often, right? So when they do come, I'll make sure that I take them. Let me see if I can bring up the clouds for you guys. Oh, Thinkorswim is undergoing maintenance. It's great. No. Something's going on. But that's it. I'm gonna watch, right? For me, ultimately, if you want to see the Bears continue, they gotta crack the PDL. The spike base, since we're most likely gonna open above it, unless something happens overnight with China or some news come out. I would definitely watch this area for a short opportunity right here. And whatever you take, keep your stop loss above 715. Just so you don't get stopped. Or if they go above it and they lose it, that might be a better short. They'll give you a little bit more conviction that to take a short, right? So if you're not confident on the first tap, then let them lose it and regain it, but maybe you might not catch it, right? And you might be betting a little bit aggressively there. All right. Well, I'm beat from camping with 3 kids and sleeping on a blow-up mattress. So won't be going camping for a while.
Thank you, Shorty.
Yeah, I'm
Thank you. Good
exhausted.
night.
All right, guys. See you guys tomorrow morning. I'll trade Lago and see what we can get into. See if we can spot some stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See you
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you. Good night.